Inflation rarely feels dramatic, yet it quietly erodes money every single day. Most people notice price increases but underestimate how deeply inflation affects long-term financial outcomes. Inflation is not just higher prices at the store. It is the gradual loss of purchasing power that reduces what money can buy over time. When inflation rises, money that appears stable is actually shrinking in real value. This silent erosion often goes unnoticed because balances do not visibly decline. Many people believe saving alone protects them. In reality, inflation slowly weakens saved money that is not working or growing. Daily inflation impact is subtle. Small price increases compound quietly, creating meaningful losses over years rather than weeks. The danger of inflation lies in familiarity. Because it happens constantly, people adapt instead of responding intentionally. Inflation affects everyone, regardless of income level. Those with limited flexibility often feel the impact most strongly. Cash held without purpose becomes vulnerable. Inflation does not require mistakes to cause damage. Inactivity is enough. Many underestimate how time amplifies inflation's effect. The longer money remains idle, the more purchasing power disappears. Inflation also reshapes behavior. People spend sooner to avoid higher prices later, reinforcing short-term thinking. This reaction creates a cycle. Spending accelerates while long-term planning weakens, increasing vulnerability to future inflation. Inflation punishes predictability. Fixed incomes and static savings lose value faster when prices rise consistently. Another overlooked impact is confidence erosion. When money buys less, people feel pressure without understanding the cause. Inflation changes risk perception. People either avoid action entirely or chase risky solutions seeking relief. Neither extreme solves the problem. Understanding inflation is the first step toward reducing its damage. Inflation does not announce itself clearly. It works quietly through groceries, rent, utilities, and everyday expenses. Small increases feel manageable individually. Together, they steadily reduce financial flexibility. Many people focus on nominal numbers. Inflation makes nominal growth misleading without real purchasing power context. Inflation also affects future goals. Long-term plans require more money than originally expected. Ignoring inflation creates planning gaps. Goals set without adjustment slowly drift out of reach. Daily inflation teaches an uncomfortable lesson. Stability without growth is not neutral. It is negative. Inflation rewards preparation, not prediction. Those who plan behaviorally respond better than those who wait. Another issue is emotional numbness. Repeated exposure to price changes reduces urgency to adapt. Inflation quietly transfers value from the unaware to the prepared. Awareness creates advantage over time. Daily inflation impact accumulates silently. Losses appear gradually, not as sudden shocks. Inflation also challenges patience. Waiting without a plan feels safe, but produces hidden costs. Understanding inflation reframes saving. Saving must connect to purpose, not just preservation. Inflation does not steal overnight. It takes a little each day, relying on inattention. Recognizing inflation's daily impacts changes priorities. Awareness transforms passive loss into intentional response. Inflation affects savings habits more than people realize. Money set aside without a clear role slowly loses relevance as prices rise year after year. Many people respond by saving more in name only. Without adjusting strategy, higher balances can still represent weaker purchasing power. Inflation quietly changes what enough means. Amounts that once felt sufficient no longer cover the same needs or goals. This creates frustration. People feel disciplined yet fall behind, not realizing inflation is quietly moving the finish line. Inflation also distorts time perception. Short-term stability masks long-term erosion, encouraging delay instead of action. Another hidden effect is reduced optionality. As money loses power, flexibility shrinks even if balances appear unchanged. Inflation rewards those who understand compounding in both directions. Loss compounds just as reliably as growth. Daily inflation impact is rarely dramatic. That subtlety makes it more dangerous than sudden market shocks. Many people anchor to past prices. Inflation breaks those anchors, forcing painful adjustments later. Inflation also influences career decisions. Stagnant income feels acceptable until costs quietly overtake earnings. This gap creates stress that feels personal but is often structural. Inflation shifts pressure silently onto individuals. Another issue is false security. Cash feels safe, but safety without growth can be illusory in inflationary environments. Inflation challenges traditional saving advice. What worked in low inflation periods may underperform today. Daily price increases reshape household behavior. Small compromises become routine, lowering living standards gradually. Inflation also reduces generosity. When money feels tighter, long-term thinking narrows. Many people respond emotionally. Fear leads to hoarding or impulsive spending, neither of which addresses the core issue. Inflation does not require panic to cause harm. Doing nothing is often enough. Another hidden cost is planning fatigue. Constant adjustments drain energy and reduce clarity. Inflation punishes rigidity. Fixed plans without review lose effectiveness over time. This is why awareness matters more than reaction. Understanding inflation allows measured responses instead of emotional ones. Inflation also reshapes trust. People lose faith in money stability without understanding why. Daily inflation impact compounds invisibly. By the time it is obvious, damage has already occurred. Inflation widens gaps between prepared and unprepared households. Knowledge becomes a quiet differentiator. Another challenge is delayed feedback. Inflation's damage is slow, making cause and effect hard to notice. Inflation also changes incentives. Immediate spending feels rational when future value feels uncertain. This mindset reduces long-term capital formation. Short-term comfort replaces future resilience. Inflation pressures long-term goals first. Retirement, education, and security become harder to fund quietly. Many people underestimate how quickly inflation resets baselines. What feels expensive today becomes normal tomorrow. Inflation's daily theft relies on acceptance. Awareness disrupts that acceptance. Inflation ultimately tests behavior more than intelligence. Those who adjust habits gradually experience less disruption than those who rely on static plans. Daily inflation impact rewards adaptability. Small, thoughtful adjustments preserve purchasing power better than dramatic reactions. Another effect of inflation is time compression. Goals that once felt distant arrive sooner than expected, often before preparation is complete. Inflation quietly penalizes delay. Waiting for certainty allows purchasing power to erode without resistance. This is why understanding inflation changes decision-making. Awareness turns passive loss into intentional planning. Inflation also exposes weak assumptions. Beliefs formed in stable periods may not hold when prices rise consistently. Another challenge is emotional detachment. Inflation feels impersonal, making it easy to ignore until consequences accumulate. Inflation's daily impact is cumulative. Each unnoticed loss builds on the last, creating long-term drag. Many people mistake familiarity for safety. Regular price increases feel normal, but are financially costly. Inflation reshapes priorities. Essentials consume a larger share, leaving less room for growth-oriented decisions. Another hidden effect is reduced patience. Rising costs create urgency that undermines long-term thinking. Inflation also amplifies mistakes. Poor decisions made under pressure are harder to recover from. Daily inflation impact does not discriminate. It affects disciplined savers and careless spenders alike, though outcomes differ. Prepared individuals adjust expectations early. Flexibility reduces frustration when purchasing power shifts. Inflation changes the meaning of progress. Nominal gains must be evaluated against real value. Another consequence is erosion of confidence. When money feels unreliable, decision-making becomes cautious or erratic. Inflation quietly reshapes trust in systems. People sense instability without understanding its mechanics. Daily inflation rewards clarity. Knowing what money is for improves resistance to erosion. Inflation also highlights the cost of inaction. Doing nothing is rarely neutral when purchasing power declines. Another effect is gradual lifestyle compression. Small compromises accumulate into noticeable changes over time. Inflation tests discipline subtly. Consistency becomes harder when results feel less rewarding. Daily inflation impact encourages rethinking preservation. Protecting value requires intention, not passivity. Inflation does not end suddenly. It fades slowly, rewarding those who remained attentive throughout. Another lesson is humility. No environment remains static, and plans must evolve. Inflation teaches patience differently. Progress requires endurance rather than speed. Daily inflation impact reframes risk. Avoiding all movement can be riskier than thoughtful adjustment. Inflation's quiet theft is behavioral. Awareness interrupts the pattern. Prepared individuals feel inflation differently. Losses are managed, not ignored. In the end, inflation steals money daily only from those who do not notice. Awareness transforms erosion into informed choice.